More than a month now since 31 people were murdered in El Paso, Texas, and in Dayton, Ohio. In late August, of course, 7 were murdered during a shooting rampage in Odessa, Texas. And today, we are nowhere closer to knowing what President Trump's going to do about this scourge of gun violence that still plagues our country. And earlier today, he did reassure Americans that he's working on, love this word, something.
We're seeing if we can come up with something that's acceptable to everybody. It's a subject that's been going on for decades. Decades they've been talking about it. So we're looking at background checks, and we're looking at putting everything together in a unified way so that we can have something that's meaningful. At the same time, all of us want to protect our great Second Amendment.
Okay, well, NBC News reports that he's working with a bipartisan group of senators who were told to expect something from the White House by tomorrow. That's Thursday, but they say the president didn't specifically signal what he would actually support. Additionally, according to the Washington Post, the White House dispatched an aide to brief Republican senators yesterday on similar talking points with zero indication, again, yesterday, of what Trump would actually do or be willing to do. One Republican senator told the Washington Post, quote, there was no hint as to where the president's going to come down. Senate Majority Mitch McConnell has refused to do anything without the president's sign-off.
My members know the very simple fact that to make a law, you have to have a presidential signature. Until that happens, all of this is theatrics.
Well, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who's already sent 2 pieces of bipartisan gun legislation to the Senate Majority Leader, ripped McConnell for his inaction.
Lives are at stake. Senator McConnell is standing in the way. We passed our bill in February. Members had events all over the country to ask him to bring up the bill. Don't ask me what we haven't done. We have done it. And if you are annoyed with my impatience, it's because people are dying, because Senator McConnell hasn't acted. Why don't you go ask him if he has any regrets for all the people who died because he hasn't acted?
Well, her members aren't waiting for President Trump or Mitch McConnell. Late last night, the House Judiciary Committee moved 3 bills to the House floor. The bills ban high-capacity magazines, of course, for firearms. They're of no use except to kill a lot of people, to give incentives to states for red flag laws to look for people who mentally shouldn't have the guns, and also bans gun sales to people convicted of hate crimes. Good for them. More, I'm joined by Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California, member of the House Judiciary Committee, and Ayesha Rascoe, NPR White House reporter. Thank you, Congressman, for this. I get the feeling that Trump is worried. Can you give me the analysis? What's going on with him? Because he is. I was amazed that 5-6 weeks after the shootings, the mass shootings in Texas and Ohio, he is daring to say the word background checks again, like he's still afraid of the suburbs. What do you think?
Chris, good evening. He is worried. He should be worried because he only cares about public opinion, and the public opinion has dramatically changed on this issue in just the last few years. However, Vice News just broke a story. Liz Landers, one of the reporters, says that Michael Williams is a lawyer for the American Suppressor Association who is now in the White House advising the president on guns. The people around him are from the gun industry. He cares a lot about where the money comes from, $30 million from the NRA. That is also very persuasive. I don't think he's going to do anything. I think he's too beholden to the NRA, and that's very, very sad.
What's the Suppressor Association? What the hell's that?
They represent gun silencers. So they represent, the device that would silence a firearm. And there's, the Republicans, they actually, after a mass shooting last Congress, tried to put legislation forward that would make it more widely accessible. That's where they are on this issue. So we just have to keep the drumbeat going and show the frustration that Speaker Pelosi showed, which is that we cannot wait. And it's time for Mitch McConnell not to wait for the president, but to put forth legislation, particularly on background checks.
Guys, I forgot that people need silencers on their guns to defend themselves in their homes. You need a silencer to shoot deer. The only reason to have a silencer is to commit crimes.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And this is one of those things where the White House is clearly being pulled in a whole bunch of different directions. But the White House is making a big show of bringing a lot of people in, saying they're talking to all these different voices and that they want to see what everyone can agree on. Of course, the issue
is
that
since
Congress
when does everybody have to agree on something? Well, if you say that, then the NRA has to sign on.
Well, that's the issue, because Congress is saying, what is the president going to do? We can't do anything until he gets in line.
Let me ask you about this issue, because this is a cutting issue, and I'm going to go back to the congressman after you. The NRA wins these political fights because they got people that will vote on the gun issue and only the gun issue. They don't worry about climate change or the economy or anything. They vote on their gun rights, the Second Amendment rights. That's all they care about. Can you get suburban women and men to start voting with the same intensity on the gun safety issue, on that front?
That's a real question. It did seem like during the midterms that there were people that really ran very hard on enacting more measures for gun control and that they were successful. But the question is whether that would actually play in a presidential year when you're going to have huge amounts of people. I mean, Trump is going to be able to turn out his base. Yeah. And that idea of taking away your guns is a very powerful message that the president and the White House is very aware of and that he uses against his opponents.
Well, during yesterday's House, as well said, I think yesterday's House Judiciary Committee marked up a gun legislation. Georgia Democrat Lucy McBath, whose son was murdered at a gas station 7 years ago, called on her colleagues to do something. This is a personal plea. Let's watch.
Nearly 100 people every single day die in this country as a result of gun violence. And yes, I will never let you forget that my son Jordan was one of them. I know the pain of losing a child to gun violence. And not anyone in this room, anyone in this country should ever be faced with that pain. And for every single day that we fall into not taking action, mothers and fathers across this country will live through the same nightmare that I did. It is our responsibility to prevent this suffering, to bring an end to this constant heartbreak.
That was one of the... Her child was killed, by the way, by somebody who didn't like the noise, the loudness of her radio, his radio in the car. Anyway, Republicans who oppose the legislation warn that passage of gun laws are an infringement of Second Amendment rights while not addressing the root causes of violence. That's what they say. Here goes.
Today, we have more politicians encouraging jealousy, covetousness, and we've divided the country, and it needs to stop. That will do more than any of these bills.
What we have before us tonight is another attempt to make people feel good without helping a thing.
We all want to stop gun violence. We all know these terrible, evil things that happen are just that terrible and evil. But doing it, trying to do something that this bill seeks to do in this manner is so fundamentally wrong.
You know, you would think, Congressman, they're talking about, on your side, we're talking about collecting everybody's rifles. You're talking about a background check to keep people who shouldn't have guns from getting them. Why do these people, is this the slippery slope argument? What is their argument with all this stuff about how this isn't going to work? Of course, if you keep the gun out of a dangerous hand, it's a good thing. It's a safety measure. Your thoughts?
No one wants to take a gun from a law-abiding individual. So shoot for sport, take your kids out to go hunting, protect yourself with a shotgun in your house, but keep the most dangerous weapons from the most dangerous people. The views you just played from my Republican colleagues, those are the views of an going extinct species. What you did not see behind or in front of Lucy McBath as she was speaking, and she's the ultimate mom who's demanding action. She ran for Congress on this issue, were other moms, dozens of moms in the audience who are demanding action. And politically in 2018, because they joined the students and the Giffords group and the Brady group in every town, we beat 17 NRA endorsed members of Congress. So you should fear the moms and all of the groups with them today more than you should fear the NRA.
It seems, Aisha, I'm now asking you to play political consultant, that for this to become an issue where the safety issue actually wins or stands a chance, the Democratic nominee for president, whoever it is, he or she, has got to address this president in the debates next fall, right before the election, and say, challenge him right there. Because otherwise, it's only going to be the NRA that keeps the issue alive on their side. Everybody else will be talking about climate, the economy, all kinds of, incarceration rates, all that stuff. Meanwhile, the NRA stays focused on protecting our gun rights.
Well, Democrats could definitely challenge President Trump and to say what they exactly are going to do. They have a bill that passed the House, and so they have to say, this is what we're going to do, and why won't you act? Right now, the president seems to be betting that maybe if they don't take action Biden, or if he can just kind of say the Democrats, I tried to do something, but we just couldn't come together.
He'll do the mental health thing.
Or say that it's mental health. And a lot of those talking points from those Republicans, you hear some of that from the White House. We want to do something that doesn't just make people feel good. We want to do something that will really change things. So those are the arguments that they're making.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.